Over 5 decades ago, in Pallittodu, a little picture book village by the sea in the southern coast of India, there grew up a little skinny boy. He lived in a traditional Christian family connected to the church. Yet, as time passed by, he was influenced by Marxian ideas around him and drifted away from the church. On Sundays, pretending to go to the church, he would often leave home and wander around the villages and beaches nearby. Being an average student, he struggled with his studies. And as the matriculation exams drew near, he would even sometimes end up praying to God for help. Soon after the exams, worried about the influence of some of his peers in the village, his father sent him away to his maternal uncle's home in the hills of Calicut. For a boy who had grown up near the sea, the northern regions with its hills and valleys was something new. He spent time climbing trees and enjoying the beauty of nature among his cousins and the new friends that he made there. Often, they would find the boy perched on trees, happy amidst nature. During this time, he had grown up into a handsome boy, and a girl of his age in the vicinity was attracted towards him. When he heard of this from a cousin, he naturally was curious to meet her. But he was also struggling with a set of questions about the future within him, about the purpose of his life, about the paths he must take. Why was he here on earth? What should he do with his life? Questions swirled in his mind. He remembered how his father would talk about the monks in the hills of Kurichamala who had renounced everything for God. He spent a sleepless night. As the sun dawned, he realized that he was challenged to set aside his life for something higher, as a missionary priest. His father didn't earn much as a theatre artist, and he was the eldest of 5 children. So he knew that the family expected him to grow up and support his father and help settle the others in life. He did not have the courage to disclose his desire to the family. So he secretly wrote a letter, pouring out his heart for mission, and decided to post the letter to his home later. He kept the letter safely hidden inside a book. Meanwhile, his family wanted him to get into the trade of a fitter and send him for admissions to an industrial training center. When he came back home, he realized that something was unusual. The faces around were curious and some pale. He realized that his letter had been found by his brother and the family had gone through it. His mother confronted him. "Do you want to join the missions?" she asked him. He mustered all his courage and said, "Yes." There wasn't as much resistance from his family as he had expected. His father accompanied him to the Indian Missionary Society Seminary at Paravur, Punapra. He was sent to the city of Varanasi. He made the 5-day journey in an unreserved coach, mostly sitting on his travel trunk, sleepless. And yet, he enjoyed the journey and the challenges of encountering and meeting new cultures. Around that time, the charismatic movement, which began in Duquesne University in the United States in 1967, had reached the shores of India in 1972. In 1975, a Canadian priest arrived in India to preach a retreat, and this young seminarian became part of the first group of Indians to attend a charismatic retreat. The charismatic movement stirred his heart and became part of his life. He realized that the Lord was preparing him for a greater mission. In 1983, he was ordained a priest by Bishop Chenaparambil, a priest in this world, yet not of this world. Father Dheeraj Sabu IMS. He has always acknowledged humbly that it was God's intervention alone that helped him become a priest. He was never the pious type. In fact, there were many around him who were seen as more eligible than him to become priests. He remembers his early promptings to join the mission as very feeble, vague thoughts, and he mostly tried to ignore them. But God had chosen him, even beyond his understanding or knowing, from his very mother's womb, and had drawn him close to the heart of God. His first ministry after he was ordained was among the tribal communities in the state of Bihar who spoke the Santali language. He picked up their language and lived among them as they lived in a mud hut. He worked to make medicines available to the typhoid-stricken villagers. Within a month, he was affected by typhoid for the first time. In just a month after he recovered and got back to his ministry, he was stricken with typhoid again, and the disease recurred 5 times, devastating him. The 5th time, as he left the village, he was so weak that he was slowly pushed ahead on his bicycle by the villagers as he did not have the strength to ride by himself. His superiors immediately sent him back to his home state for treatment, but the doctors in Kerala were not hopeful at all. They said he had become a chronic carrier of the typhoid disease and it would be almost impossible to heal him. Trusting in the Lord, Father Dheeraj started a course of alternative medicines, and in a few months, the Lord restored his strength and health. In 1985, he took charge as the parish priest of Mary Queen's Church, Vandanam, Alapura, and returned back in ministry to IMS in 1987. He was asked whether he could take charge of the retreat center in Alapura, but Father Dheeraj was reluctant as he preferred a quiet ministry away from the spotlight. One night in 1989, he woke up feeling that his bed was shaking vigorously. Thinking it to be an earthquake, he sat up and he heard a voice that commanded him, "Go to the North India, preach the gospel and prepare the faithful for evangelization." The story of Father Dheeraj is a response to that command. An untiring walk of faith, a journey that drew many to his vision, a journey that formed a community of faithful missionaries, a journey that continues to touch and change the lives of individuals and communities through the proclamation of the gospel.
Hello Father, I am Rachel. I spoke to you regarding the interview about Father Dheeraj.
Okay, we shall go to the studio.
Yes, Father. So, Father, you were with Father Dheeraj in the seminary, right? He was your senior. So, what did you observe about him or anything you remember from the seminary days? Could you share about that?
As you said, he was 1 year senior to me. He was 1 year senior in profession. He reached Banaras in 1972. I reached in 1973. Although he was senior to me, the memory I have is that he was a quiet person. But something that we found in him was that he was very much interested in art, especially painting and drawing. And I know for sure, of course we know, that he had gone to different celebrities like Jyoti Sai and many other people who are famous in painting, in drawing, and he acquired it and he grew in it, and he was known at that time as a person who was interested in painting and drawing.
So Father, when you took in charge as in charge of the Matridham ashram, even Father Dheeraj and SANTVANA just came to Varanasi and started. So Father Dheeraj is also one of the earliest charismats who is alive from India. So what do you remember about SANTVANA and Father Dheeraj as it was just in the initial days of forming?
As far as my memory goes, I believe he was appointed in our retreat center in Alleppey called IMS Dhyan Bhavan. From then on, I sensed that he became the contact person for those Catholic lay persons who wanted to come over to North India for mission exposure. And in fact, I was appointed in this campus in 1992 to start a communication center, and therefore I was in the campus. It was in those days that he started bringing lay persons here. Some of the lay people who came in the beginning were Sali, Santosh and so on. And at that time his idea was Preshit 2000. And he was preparing more and more people to be exposed to the missions, and therefore they would come to the ashram and stay. I took over the ashram in 1995 only. And then they would stay here. And there was a village next to the ashram, Lodhan. There is a house belonging to the Indian Missionary Society. They were also staying there, and sometimes they used to be here, sometimes there. And in 1992-93, there began a small group of people coming to the ashram for prayer meetings on Sundays. And it was initiated by Father Deen Dayal, late Father Deen Dayal, Father Vinayanand and SANTVANA community. At that time it was not known as SANTVANA community. Eventually by that time it started evolving as a SANTVANA community, and they stayed in that village for some time. And then from there they pushed to the city side near Sarnath, and from there on they went to Agra and so on. So I would say the Chris Bhakta movement right now happening around Banaras, where we have reached out to thousands and thousands of people of other faith, and they come over to the ashram in large numbers. And in the initial years, the beginning years, SANTVANA community had a role to play. So therefore I would say Father Dheeraj is also connected with the movement that we began. Kris Bhakta movement and SANTVANA more or less began at the same time.
Hi, I'm Rachel. Nice
Hello,
to meet you.
come. So, what's it that you want to know?
Hi. So I'm actually in this quest to know more about Father Dheeraj. So I'm meeting up with people who were with him, who journeyed with him, and so I got to know that you were one of the first members. Like, so what is your experience with him while you were with him since the beginning?
Just a small correction. It's not that I was with him during his initial inspiration. His initial inspiration happened when he was in Alleppey. But after that, in 93 and 94 and all that, I was traveling with him to different places, conducting retreats. And it is really a rich experience and memory that is there in me. We had been to Manipur for almost a month. We were in different parts of North India in mission stations of the IMS to conduct retreats. And it was times when we used to have real tough travels. I remember during those initial days, sometimes it's like hours together we used to spend in the railway stations for trains, and it's like Father was one among us in all these trips. No, it's not like he's a priest, but a person who really came down to the laity and who was one with us.
So Shelton uncle, you were there among the first batch that went from Kerala to North India along with Father Dheeraj,
That's right.
So how did he inspire you to take up missions in your life? Or could you share about that?
Yeah, it's a long time ago. I might be giving away my age if I say, but 1992-93, I had just passed out of, finished my degree in English. And there was this small batch that Jesus Youth was putting together, led by a few leaders, and they were not very sure what will happen to that batch, but they asked us whether we could set aside 1 year after our college. My encounter with Father Dheeraj happened because there was a bishops' conference happening. I think it was one of the early bishops' conferences in Varanasi. So I had only heard of Varanasi, and the team asked whether I could go there and prepare a group of young people for the music ministry there. So that is when Father Dheeraj came to our group and we met him. And I was quite surprised seeing him. He did not look like any priest that I had seen in Kerala at that point. He was like Maharshi and like and so he had a beard and he had a very, calming smile that I remember. That's the first impression you get. Actually, he never preached to us, or he never, asked us to do anything specific, but we just followed him, and it was beautiful. It was like having Jesus in our midst. So that's something I remember. The way Achan dressed, for example, he wore saffron robes, and he wore a slipper on his feet. Sometimes he did not wear a slipper. Very simple. And the way he said Mass, how he sat down on the floor, how he ate, how he behaved when he went into villages. There was a deep love for him, for the people that he met and the cultures that he encountered. That kind of an openness to different cultures, to India as a whole, to the places that he lived. That love that came from the heart of Jesus probably is something that has struck me.
So, Rachel,
Yes, Jesu.
Rachel.
Nice meeting you, yeah. So, Brother Anthony, you have been in the community since Lodan, right? And you witnessed the growth of the community as it branched out from Varanasi to Agra and Sardana. So, what was your experience with Father Dheeraj during those times?
I came to SANTVANA in the year 1996. I came to Lodan. At Lodan, the ministry was only the prayer, 12 hours prayer from morning onwards till evening prayer. Those days I saw Father Dheeraj. He was so active and preparing with the prayer foundation. Father was encouraging us, all those who come in there, to be in prayer for the evangelization purpose. Personally, I saw Father Dheeraj. He used to get up early in the morning by 3:30. By 4 o'clock he will be in the chapel wearing one shawl in that cold winter. He will sit in prayer. Then we all will come by 5:30 like that. And then we will remain there in prayer. Then morning Holy Mass will be there. So in that Holy Mass, Father used to encourage us to invoke the Lord for His kingdom to come, especially in our country. The reason for Lodan to change to interior, the city side, was the transportation, especially. Those who come from south and so on, they found it very difficult to reach the center. So Father tried all his best to come interior, the city, so they can come easily. So in that way, we were shifted to Sarnath area. There we remained, stayed there for about more than one and a half years, I think. Then we shifted to Shivala Ghat, where our IMS house was there. And when that IMS provincial house was shifted to new building, then that it was vacant, then the society gave us to use it. So that's how we came to Shivala Ghat. So we had the chance of ministry getting in Agra. Father and our brothers went to conduct convention, retreat like that. That time, a good chance they found. If you ship to Agra, you can have many ministries. So that's how we changed. In all these things, Father was so active, going about. There was one Luna, old model, but he was using, and sometimes it may struck somewhere in the roadside, it may pull and come, so I was tired. Like that I found him. He was so hard working for the purpose of evangelization. And as we settled in the Shivala, then we started to move to Agra. In Agra, we got from the diocese teachers' quarters, some portions, some rooms we got. So in that we stayed and we started our ministry there. From Sardana, we were called back to live together to form the community by the invitation of Bishop Consosa. He had the chance of coming together, all live together for a year. Then we'll to approve our as a community. That's how we came back and settled in Agra. Then we moved to Delhi when Bishop Consosa was made as Archbishop of Delhi. In his jurisdiction, our community functioned. So that's how we came to Delhi.
Your Grace, you were there in Agra as a bishop when Father Dheeraj and SANTVANA were there. And you were the one who supported him and encouraged him to form this as a community. So what do you have to share about that?
Yes, I think it was a great contribution that he was making to the life of the church, in the north in particular. Because in my own understanding, every Christian is a missionary. And here was Dheeraj to bring about an institutional provision for the manifestation of this missionary spirit among the laity. And that's why I was very happy when he came to Delhi and then back to, I think, to Agra and back again to Delhi. It was great. And I would certainly encourage him, because that brought us Christians to a closer understanding of the meaning of being a Christian. It is not just being good, it is being good and reaching out to others with that goodness, so that they also join in and fulfill their vocation as Christians by following Jesus. Yes. So I consider his contribution as a tremendous contribution to the life of the church in our country, particularly in the north. Yes.
So from 97 onwards, it is like we have been constantly traveling with Father throughout the northern Hindi belt especially. There were a lot of not training programs, retreats that we were conducting for children, the Farista retreats. So we used to be a group of about at least 8 to 10 of us in a team traveling together. And all those journeys, sometimes we had bundles of books to carry. And Father had absolutely no problem in loading this and traveling with us. And all through that time, what I have seen, always, right from the beginning, what I have seen is his a tolerance of people. There are specific instances that I remember of at least 4 or 5 persons who had done things which are normally intolerable. But it was only because of Father that he tolerated it. He had such a concern for the salvation of their soul even. It's an individual who has done a mistake, but still he did not have the heart to just ask them to get out and go. Always being concerned about what would happen to them if they go back. Now, that concern was there always in his life, and he used to show that repeatedly. Tolerant, loving heart of a father, of the Father God, that could be seen in him.
Hello, Uncle. Hi, Auntie. So I've been on this search. I've been traveling since the past few days, knowing more about Father Dheeraj. So I got to know that you also, along with your family, have been in this community since the past 22 years.
Yeah.
So I would like to know more from your perspective. What was your experience about him? How did you observe him? How was he?
I think we shifted from Agra to Delhi in the year 2005. Then continuously few years we were in Delhi. So that time we were with him, and I was appointed as the servant leader with a council of 4 members. And then father entrusted the main responsibility to build our own house, that is the main house now in Buradi.
That land was purchased 1 year back, and it happened like some of our friend benefactor gave some 80,000 rupees. But that 1 year we were keeping it, and we were thinking that we may get more money and we'll start the construction. But it was not happening, and one fine day, I remember Father Dheeraj gave me a call, and he said we are going to put the foundation stone on May 1st. Then I asked him, Father, how about the money? Then he said, we have 80,000 rupees, we'll start with it. And that was we had 80,000 rupees and we started the construction, and within 1 year and 2 months we finished that construction. And what I want to share is the faith Father was having. With that 80,000 rupees, he was able to motivate us and to start that construction.
It came around 65 lakhs plus, yes, 65 plus lakhs of Indian rupees.
When you said about the push that he's giving, I was just thinking about the book written by Father Dheeraj, Push. This is a book written by Father Dheeraj, Pray Until Something Happens. It is about the intercession. And about the homeschooling also.
Yeah, the same way he was pushing behind us, I think more than 2 years. When he shared first time, we were not having that courage and boldness to jump, to start that new initiative about for our children. We are having 5 children, so all are homeschooled. But 2 years he was behind us, pushing, supporting, motivating, and finally all of us, all the 3 families together decided and started homeschooling. That was in the year of 2011.
So friends, you came to the community around 2012, right? So since then a lot of changes have been taking place in the community. Definitely. Yeah, so what do you see, how do you see Father Dheeraj's contribution during those times, since the last 10 years or so?
When I joined in 2012, it was a community where all people were living together, like brothers and sisters and families. Now it's a community having 4 different branches, we can say. Brothers, sisters community, and then families and the covenant community. A distinct formation of all these branches happened in the last 10 years. Providence. When I came in 2012, I saw advertisements that are put in the Presh Samachar, seeking for some piece of land. Some proposals came, people were ready to give some land at different parts of Kerala. And finally, Santosh Itlapalli has donated 1.5 acre of his ancestral property in Valakkancherry to the community. And I saw that in the past 10 years, it grew in such a manner that it has become a full-flourished center of evangelization training, and where people can come and stay and partake in adoration and things like that. So SANTVANA village. 2020 November, Pope Francis revokes the ability of local bishops to start congregations. So before that, Father somehow got a divine inspiration to develop the brothers and sisters community within the SANTVANA community as separate canonically recognized congregations. So he started working on that a year earlier before that. And then in 2020 August, Archbishop Anil Kutto recognized these 2 communities as private public pious associations in view of raising them as canonically recognized congregations. Their statutes was formed, their formation started, and the Father Sandeep, who was with us, was made in charge of the formations, and then we got Sister Divya CHF from the congregation of Holy Family to assist the sisters in their formation, and the sisters community and brothers communities formation started, and the first batch was made their final profession in October 2021. It was the same year that Archbishop allowed us a new shepherd. On our request, Father Denny George was appointed as the new shepherd to the whole SANTVANA community. Now we refer to it as SANTVANA Missionary Movement. Father Dheeraj used to inspire missionary families to buy, plots and get settled wherever we are. Otherwise, we had been in rented premises. In 2022, a piece of land was brought in Gwalior. The same year, 1 BHK flat was brought in Loni, Ghaziabad. Even the other houses are also in search of buying land to build established centers of SANTVANA in different parts of India. And this year in 2023 January, our missionary brothers started a new house in Kollam, and they have established their ministries. It is going very well. I've seen Father Dheeraj as a praying priest, getting up so early in the morning and spreading his arms and crying out to the Lord in loud voice. Whenever he was, community was going through struggles. Last 10 years has witnessed such a great growth in the community, but it was also a time of very much conflicts and struggles as these developments were happening. The statutes, formation of the statutes itself was a very tough task, especially the formation of financial policies. And when all those discussions were happening, I've seen Father crying out to the Lord that surrendering all this to the Lord in prayer. And his vision developed in prayer, I could say. He wanted to establish it, but he didn't have a foolproof plan before him laid out. Just an inspiration that the Lord gave, and he was following it, and the Lord was taking it ahead, and it was unfolding itself in the in the way the Lord led it, and he was always saying yes, and patiently waiting. Very patiently waiting to see the result. We have seen the Lord has blessed, and the fruit of his labor, fruit of his pain is now being visible in the form of this missionary brothers community, missionary sisters community, missionary families, the covenant communities. We can see that SANTVANA is becoming a missionary formation platform that is still developing a lot of youngsters and young families to training them to take up missions of their own and reach out to the people who has not yet received the gospel.